We want to shift gears for real right now and bring in Chieh Huang. He is the Box CEO and co-founder. We're going to talk about the restaurant industry. We've been talking with a lot of restaurateurs and industry participants here, the challenges they've faced, not only in the entire pandemic, but this latest wrinkle with the Omicron. Just wondering how you're dealing with it, the way you see it.
Yeah, the way we see it is still keeping everyone safe on the front line. So here in the fulfillment centers, in our offices as well, just making sure we're making the right moves, not only for our customers, but also for us as a company. With regards to all the small businesses out there that are being afflicted from it or by it, we feel for them. And so we're doing everything we can to supply them with the stock they need to continue to run their business. Because, being out of stock is probably the last thing they need on their minds at this moment.
And on the consumer side of things, what sort of trends are you seeing throughout this pandemic? Are people still stocking up on the TP? What sort of ebbs and flows have you seen? And now with Omicron, are people beginning to bulk up again?
What's really interesting, Karina, is that, in the metrics that we have publicly disclosed as we've gone public, is that AOV or average order value has continued to go up over the last 2 years. So it wasn't just a one-time spike during the initial wave of COVID, but actually throughout the last 2 years, we've seen a steady rise in average order value, indicative of folks actually stocking up and being okay with pantry loading or keeping a little bit more safety stock, because we all have scars from last year on the great kind of toilet paper panic. What's also really interesting, perhaps for the viewers out there, is that we initially kind of thought that there was going to be a great return when a lot of folks bought so much canned foods, toilet paper, that there would be a massive return kind of flow last summer, but we didn't see that. So folks actually have bought these items and have kept them in their pantries.
And all of this is occurring against a backdrop of rising prices. So I'm thinking the average ticket price rise could be due to inflation. Just how are you helping your customers price their goods, source their goods, and manage the ultimate cost to the customer?
Jared, that's a really difficult part of our business that's afflicting the entire industry. So it's no secret to anyone watching right now that prices have gone up over the last year or two. Traditionally, the grocery industry, a few hundred basis points every year is actually pretty healthy for the industry. But what you're seeing now is like 500 plus basis points of price increases every time we see it from a manufacturer. And so in the beginning, I think a lot of retailers like us try to absorb that cost increase. But right now, it's become more and more difficult to absorb it. Luckily, I think the consumer has been exceptionally strong as well. So we have been able to pass on some of those costs to the consumers. But there sure is a breaking point even with that. So we've got a close eye on it, as does everyone in the government, on inflation.
And Chieh, I want to ask you, obviously you're a newly trading public company, but you also sell the software that powers your business. Talk about the interest on that side of it. And, is there still a ramp up for businesses to get up to speed with e-commerce? Or is it sort of at a plateau and most businesses are sort of where they need to be at this point?
Yeah, I don't think it's hit a plateau. I think what you basically see is that we had basically almost 5-10 years of e-commerce growth over the course of a few months in 2020. Though we've given some of that back across the industry, what you're kind of seeing is a new baseline from growth for continued growth. So I think out of COVID, with regards to retail, what we've basically kind of been able to see across the entire world is that e-commerce is no longer a nice to have for anyone out there. It's become a need to have. And so all the technology you see behind me today, the software that runs our business, as you mentioned before, we have now packaged that up as enterprise e-commerce in a box to big customers all around the world. And in our first year of business alone, this first year now in 2021, we've already guided Wall Street to 8 figures in revenue in our first year just selling software. So we're really bullish on that side of the house. We love the margins and we love the repeatability of that business.
And could you just kind of expand on that a little bit? What kind of technologies are you specifically using to help these companies manage their supply chains, their customers, their ad business, whatever they're doing?
Yeah, the beauty of it, Jared, is that it's all the above. So our lighthouse account is Aeon Group, AEON, publicly traded company based in Japan, one of the largest retailers on earth with $83 billion in revenue. If you go to their Malaysia business unit, a lot of the technology in-store, online, buy online, pick up in store, deliver to home, whether it's supply chain, the front-facing website, app, all of it is now powered by Box technology. And so we're really proud about that, because otherwise you'd either have to build it yourself or you'd have to call 20 other providers to spaghetti it together.
Chieh, only a few seconds left. Really quickly want to ask you why the push now into dark delivery with the acquisition of Max Delivery?
Yeah, so I've always been a big fan of theirs. So selfishly, I love the service, and now we can call it a part of the same family. From a business perspective, though, in our original investor day presentation, we told folks we're going to expand assortment into fresh and expand repeatability. Fresh foods is what our customers want, and they repeat that much more when we have offered them fresh food, and the data shows that. So being able to pick up Max Delivery and delivering fresh foods to customers is something we're really focused on for 2022.
And we appreciate your stopping by here. Chieh Huang, Boxed CEO and co-founder.